Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome along to the second round of the SRF Weekend Warriors, presented by RaceVoice, coming to you tonight from Road Atlanta, live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Tim Cox, and I'm joined by the legendary Sam Fitzpatrick in the commentary booth, and we have the epic Samuli Kumo looking after the cameras and production tonight. Sam, welcome along, and where can we expect the action tonight here at Road Atlanta, and who should the viewers at home be watching out for?
Yeah, sure, should be a fun one. I think the viewers got to be watching out for everyone, honestly, because this car check combination is so awesome. This is a high slipstream car. We see these guys have some epic battling all the time in these cars around any circuit. Around this one, where you got a lot of very long straights, a lot of flat out sections for the drivers to really stretch their legs. I think we could see probably 10 or so drivers who are up for the race, when obviously Aeronom, who I think took the race victory last time out, is probably the favourite. But honestly, I think his chances are going to be small if he doesn't put in a top performance.
So, just to bring you up to date with the format tonight, so we've got qualifying, which is just coming to an end, and then be heading into a quick 5-minute warm-up for the drivers before they all take to the track and lights go out, and we have a 40-minute race for you. So, on qualifying, Aeronome, obviously, as you mentioned, Sam, he's come out on a pole with a 1:32.4, and then we've got Roseborough. He's second place, and then we've got Panero in third. So definitely 3 drivers to watch out for. Now, Sam, I know you like a good stat. So last time in this series that we visited Road Atlanta was all the way back in 2018 during season 1. That night, Steve Elson ran out race winner, and Austin winner was second. Josh Arnold took the final place on the podium. Now, the latter of those two drivers aren't joining us tonight. However, Steve Elson is, so someone with a bit of skin in the game. I think definitely one to keep one close eye on, even though he's not starting at the sharp end of the grid tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And I think around this circuit, it's going to really be down to that racecraft. And if you've got those years of experience, then that could be extremely useful for when you're moving up through the order. And so, yeah, certainly watch out for them. Of course, we were saying, you know, the top positions in the overall standards, but of course, we've got the 3 different championships going on in this championship. So really everywhere down the order, everyone's fighting for a title. Pretty much everyone's, at least at this point in the season, in round 2, gonna have those dreams of coming out on top in the title, whether that's the Spec 1 standings, the Spec 2 standings, or the Masters standings. All these drivers are going to be looking to promote up. So yeah, just those top positions overall, not the only important ones, but also every position down the order going to get you crucial championship points.
So if you want to stay up to date with what's happening here on Apex Racing TV, you can do so on Twitter. We are at Apex Racing TV. Facebook is facebook.com/Apex Racing TV. And then we've got Instagram, where we are at Apex Racing TV on there as well. So we're just looking at Bohm at the moment. He finished second last time out at Tsukuba, which was bit of a frantic race, filled with action, as you can imagine, quite as Tsukuba is, a very short circuit. Not the best necessarily for the easiest track for overtaking on with these cars. As Sam mentioned earlier, there's such slipstream magnets, you know, work really, really well. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot more overtakes tonight. But overall, really respectful, clean, hard racing, and went literally all the way down to the final corner of the last lap for a couple of the drivers. So it's definitely going to play out. Now, the drivers have to take a pit stop. They have a 50% fuel limit, so they will be taking a pit stop. We saw a bit of an array, actually, last time out at Tsukuba. So some drivers heading to the pits earlier to try and get themselves into some fresh air, whereas some drivers leaving it literally to the point where they were running on fumes, stopping literally a few laps from the end. So I'm sure pit strategy, Sam, is going to play a little bit of a part in how this evening pans out, really.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're at the back of a pack, then it can often be worth just, you know, fuel saving a little bit, because that means that you're going to have to take less fuel at your pit stop. And of course, it gives you a little bit more flexibility with the strategy as well. You can maybe go a bit further in the race, then run some laps with low fuel, whilst your rivals are going to be on a full tank of fuel, potentially, if you can go maybe 1 or 2 laps further on that opening stint. So yeah, it's a nice little element to take into consideration. And of course, this is a long race, 40 minutes, so you've got a lot of time. You know, being in the top few positions at the start of the race isn't too important, but you do genuinely want to kind of move your way up through the order as the minutes go by, and kind of bring yourself into that kind of top 5 positions by the 10 minutes to go mark. And of course, if we had a final corner finish at last time out at Tsukuba, then we're going to get one hit, aren't we? Because this is the ultimate final corner lap, and we're going through the final sector here because it's so easy to get a cutback through this chicane here and then get that mighty run on the time remaining easy flat out these final 2 corners in these cars. And well, I can only hope that we see such a close finish this time out as well.
Definitely. Now, obviously, the series is sponsored by RaceVoice. Now, worth mention to those guys. So, RaceVoice is the simple way of to transform complicated race performance data into easy-to-understand voice notifications and alerts. Now, with over 16 different notifications, you can select only the data that's important to you, and RaceVoice allows you to hear it back in real time. It's like having a driver coach in your ear. So thank you very much to the guys at RaceVoice for sponsoring this one. Now, just looking across to the chat in YouTube, Brendan Huron, you've put, this is a good one. Road Atlanta never disappoints. And I think you're not wrong there. It's going to be an absolutely great night of racing. We've got around about 30 seconds left, just under that now, of warm-up left to go before the drivers will be taking to the grid. Sam, go on, throw your hat out there. Who do you think is going to come out victorious tonight?
Oh, dear me. Well, we had a little bit of this in the Apex Racing League GT Championship, sponsored by Wave Italy, which ended last week, and the co-commentator went on an absolute run of predicting that. Andy Thompson really absolutely nailed it every single time. So I'm trying to follow in his footsteps, and I mean, trying to look at the qualifying standings. Well, I mean, I'm not familiar with this series. I can't remember the last time I commentated tonight, honestly, so I'm just going to pick a random number or random name. I'm going to go for Jeff Fritscher to take this race win, starting in 7th position. I feel that's low enough down for me to look very smart if he does win, but it's also realistic. So come on, Jeff, you can take this one.
So just running through the grid quickly while our drivers take to the grid behind the Porsche safety car there. We've got Aeronome on pole. Roseborough is joining me on the front row in 2nd place. Then we've got the Italian Panero in 3rd with Naselli in 4th. Aidan Campbell has Antonio Rice joining on the 3rd row of the grid. Then we've got Jeff Fritscher and Dantas on the 4th row. Castro has Pereira alongside him for company on the 5th row. Then we've got Mayer and Payne in 11th and 12th. And then we've got Murakami with Andalo alongside him. Then the Canadian Buchanan with Bernardo. 17th is Bone with Misuric. Then we've got Steve Elson in 19th with Justin Huffman. Then we've got 21st, it's Beardsley with Jacobson. 23rd is Bradshaw with Shook in 24th. And then we've got Cox and Nunez in 25th and 26th. John Tustings 27th with Bob Kern lining up alongside him. Then we've got Forster and McGuinness in 29th and 30th. Gibson has Cantor alongside him for company. Paolo Brain has Ulip alongside him. Then Favini and Eisenberg in 35th and 36th. Then we've got Short and Ray, Stevie Ray, the organiser of this league. Thank you for all his hard work he puts in. Then Tom Gradwell has Santiago alongside him for company on the 39th and 40th. Paul Jackson has Eisenberg, then Pichek and Lowry. Then in 45th is Jin and Van Dorman. Then Bertoni in 47th. Jesus Rodriguez lines up in 48th place. And I think that is absolutely everyone. So a really packed grid tonight. There's going to be action up and down the field. Lithium Fox saying good luck to y'all. Yeah, good luck to all the drivers. So just coming around the last few corners now. So before they head out onto that long back straight, which is where undoubtedly we're going to see a lot of the action tonight. Drivers tucking up behind one another, looking to maximise that slipstream that you mentioned is so crucial with these cars earlier, Sam.
Yeah, and it's a deceivingly long straight, I think, because it's not totally straight. So this actual straight part of it doesn't look that long, but of course the kind of the little bits on the end of it, the kind of curved sections, are also very long. So it must be close to a kilometre. This kind of flat out section, and then of course a big braking zone at the end of it. Very wide chicane. I think a fantastic chicane at the end of this one, because it's so wide that you can go alongside, you can get the cutback as well onto kind of going to the final couple of corners, which is fantastic and great to see so many cars. I thought that the IndyCar season finale might bring the attendance down a little bit. None of it. We've got a fantastic field out here tonight.
So it's coming around the chicane. That's definitely going to be a hotbed for action, and head out down this downhill right-hand corner. Porsche 911 safety car has pulled in. Aeronome just backing up the field a little bit, and there we go. He has gone, and it's across the line, and we are off for round 2 of Road Atlanta. And Roseborough just tucking up behind Gnome, who then cuts to the left-hand side of the track, looking to maximise that entry, and looking back at the field, looks like everyone's got away really cleanly so far, as they now head around turn 2 for the very first time. Everyone behaving themselves quite well so far. A couple of overtakes in the background there and going side by side, but nothing too drastic early on. Obviously the driver's looking, oh no, we've got contact there. I'm not too sure who that was. Someone just heading to the grass there and pushed out wide, losing a lot of places. And although even more contact, there was Bernardo. Driver came off initially, and then Beatty just getting caught up in his rejoin there. So unlucky. But other than that, I think everyone's got away relatively cleanly. That's made them tumble down the order, unfortunately. After what had been such a great start for those drivers, I think everything just settling down and just looking to calm down a little bit now, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Initially, it was really good, and then we kind of just had one incident, and that kind of bred into another incident, and hence the issues we had there. So Pineri now going for the lead straight away. He was third position at the start of the straight, but he just gets a good slipstream, and that's really what we're going to be seeing all through tonight. So he takes the lead temporarily, but of course Nom might be able to come back if he so chooses. Nicelli also trying to get past Roseborough. These guys just want to make sure that they don't let those top two get too far ahead. They can stay in the jump. And look at Antonio Rees moving through as well. Campbell was slightly off the circuit there, and Rees getting an absolutely excellent launch. He might even come to third position here. Settles for fourth. But you will see that little bit of a gap that's just forming to the top two. And whilst this batting is all right at this stage of the race, they do need to make sure that they don't lose each other too much time. But they should be able to make up that little bit of a gap. And seems like they already.
Right on board with Aidan Campbell right now. Currently in 6th position and definitely got the front row seats for the epic battle that's happening in front of him. Just around about 1.5 seconds covering even our top 7. Jeff Richer in 7th place currently, just following these guys behind. And then we've got Dantas just tucked up behind them.
Wow.
Oh no! Oh no, that was so close. Drivers just having to take evasive action and just navigate around. Just trying to see who that was. I think it was Dantas, was it?
I am not entirely sure. Maybe Reese, perhaps. But yeah, real big problems there. Now they're really bad, saying 3 wide, and there's contact as well. Contact between all of them, and this could be an almighty shunt as they smash into the wall. They go either side. Drivers trying to take evasive action. Well, that could have been a whole lot worse, and it all stemmed from one mistake. And it's absolutely spelled disaster for those drivers. So I think it was Reese who originally lost the car, caused a little bit of a hold up. It created a pack of cars. They're all getting a little bit lively, knowing that the runners were getting away, and then made some avoidable contact when going 3 wide. And yeah, that could have easily been a roadblock.
Well, action up and down the field already, and fastest lap of the race set so far. It's Brandon Rosenberg in 4th, down 2 places after starting 2nd on the grid with 1:33.88, although Nicelli just in front of him, only just marginally missing out on that fastest lap. But as the track starts to rubber in, that time will come down and down, especially as fuel starts to burn off as well. And already absolute tons of action here in the SRF Weekend Warriors Series.
And you can't really win the race in the early stages, but you can certainly lose it. I think that's what a few of these drivers have so far done, because it's established this lead pack of 4 now, and with Nom leading the way, and I think with Panera quite happy to sit behind, so Nom's really taking the lead. Panera, I think, maybe a bit happy to sit behind now, and they're just going to be dragged away from the rest of the field, so it's going to take a big effort from my pick Fitcher to move back to these top 4. Also, Bohm just getting past Pereira. A few big changes. Forster's up 11 places, up to 18th place. Good start for, of course, Bohm up 7 places actually. Also, Favini up 11 places as we cut to this very entertaining battle. And that was just Andalo moving to the front of this one. Apologies, that's Bradshaw. Andalo's a little bit further up the road, but Bradshaw, the British driver, now to the front, but yeah, with a queue of cars behind him.
Action up and down the field, and Fritcher is definitely going to have to work with Dantas if they want to stand any chance of closing in that top 4 at the moment of Nom, Panero, Nicelli and Roseborough. It's going to be really, really tight up the front. And he just could go absolutely anywhere. Anyway, David Bohm setting the fastest lap last time around. That, as mentioned, that time it's just going to keep coming down and down. It'll be interesting to see who finishes up with that one tonight.
Oh, as we've got a little bit of contact, that's maybe a bit unnecessary there, because Castro, who's made a mistake earlier on in the lap, and he's made contact with Mizurek there, who somehow has managed to get that car pointing in the right direction again. But both have had poor laps because Mizurek ran wide at the end of the S's section, and Castro meanwhile had a mistake earlier on in the lap. And yeah, they managed to come together just before the back straight, back to the lead, and it's still this lead train of 4, but Panera now to the front. And just a reference of what the lap times are, well, fast up the race that last time round, as you were saying actually, was David Bohm, maybe just taking advantage of a toe, but certainly good pace for the 1-2-2 at the moment. But is Fritcher making much of an impression? Leader that last time round, 33.17. Fritcher crosses the line and does a 33.58. So these top 4 still pulling away from the rest of the order, as Bohm is storming through the order. He's up to 7th place. He's just past Meyer now.
He's making really, really strong moves. Is David Bohm, German, with this front 4 right now. You could practically throw a blanket over them. They are so close. And I've just seen Van Dormelen. He's had an incident somewhere off camera. So if you bring that to you at some stage, but right now the battle for the lead absolutely hotting up. These guys trading very similar lap times right now, hardly anything to separate them. Just looking at it, and there's under a second covering our top 4. It's so close, but who's going to get the best drive off the corner as we head down the back straight now? They all look to seem to be pretty neutralised, but as we ride on board with Roseborough at the moment, the American, he's going to be in the best place to pick up all this lovely, lovely slipstream. And here he goes to the right-hand side, making big, big gains. Can he gain? He's gained 1 place. Looks like that's the 2nd place he's gained. Just following Aero Gnome through there and elevating himself up in the space of a few hundred metres from the back of this pack to 2nd place. And obviously no one wanting Aero Gnome to get away. We've seen how strong he is within this championship. He's already a 3-time champion, as Andalo just taking to the grass there. I think that's just, yeah, that's just down into the chicane at the end of the back straight there. The Brazilian not really going to be wanting that, as he's just dropped off the back of Mitrosic right now. So that's going to be a bit of a struggle for him to pick up. And as we mentioned earlier, maybe that's where the pit strategy element will start to come into place, where some of these drivers just are a little bit out of the position right now. But as we mentioned, David Bohm, you see him right now. Oh no, there's a spinner in the background. That's Buchanan. Just looks like, I'm not sure whether he lost it all by himself, but the front right of that Ford spec racer just taking the brunt of the impact there. And hopefully that's not going to cost him too much. It looks drivable. However, he's got an absolute gaggle of cars who are all of a sudden swarming in right behind him. We've got a spinner in the background there. I think it was that. I think it might have been Jeff Cantor there. It's getting so close now, Sam. It's battles up and down the field. It's hard to know where to look. Obviously, they've got someone else who's taken to the grass there in the background. I think that might have been Jamie McGuinness there, who just headed to the grass. And well, it's hard to know where to look, Sam, right now.
Yeah, for sure. Constantly stuff going on, overtaking so possible. I mean, we've had a change for the lead as well, with Roseborough now at the front of this, and Bohm up to 5th position. So Bohm continuing to make some really good progress recently, and yeah, he's up into 5th position ahead of Fritcher and Dantas, and he's been in the 32s, Bohm. Now, I'm not sure how quick he actually is, because he's kind of being able to slingshot himself. We always talk, you know, usually when it comes to overtaking someone, usually it loses you time. But if you're kind of catching them at the right point, if you can easily overtake them down the back straight, actually you can gain time whilst catching drivers. And so I wonder how much Bohm's good pace has been down to kind of slingshotting past each of these drivers, and how much of it is down to pure pace. We're about to find out, because he's now got to punch his own hole into the air, and we'll see if he can make any impression on the top drivers out there. By the way, the numbers on the left side of the screen all indicate, I believe, that different classes that the drivers are in. So they've just got a single number that's going to be the top class, and then the 3 is going to be the second division. And of course, we've also got the Masters as well. So it's all about wanting to be at the front there. And of course, you can see the colour coordination as well with Dantas ahead of the green drivers at the moment in that respect. But yeah, the elite drivers populated by the red, and yeah, are dominating at the moment, as of course the class system is meant to work in that fashion. As I think that was just maybe Payne getting past Dantas right there, so that was easy for him to move up to P7 or queued behind, as we see a run of green laps there for the top 4, and this pack not being able to match them. They're still losing time gap up to 5 seconds now.
So Elson has just headed to the pits. He was the winner last time we visited here. It's looking to take a very early opportunity and the first person to blink in terms of pit strategy. Just over quarter race distance completed already. Not too sure where that's gone. There's such the amount of action that we've had already. As we just watched Forster, he's got a nice little train emerging behind him right now. Jacobson, Bradshaw and Tusting. These are 3 Brits all lined up, queuing up behind him. However, he's been rubbing in a Hansing lead. It's just behind him, Jacobson and Bradshaw. Those 2 cars in the middle of that pack just battling it out there, and all this is going on. Forster's allowed to extend that gap out, which is exactly what he's going to be wanting right now, heading towards the back straight, should he want to defend and remain where he is currently in 15th position. As no, Jacobson, he's gone. Spin from him, and that's going to cost him dearly, and where there's such a large pack here, just one tiny mistake can cost you so dearly. And Jeff Jacobson currently experiencing that one right now, Sam.
Yeah, we've seen a few drivers lose it at that corner so far tonight. I wonder if we could get the track conditions up on screen, because it's very bright out there. I imagine the track's warmed up quite a bit. 100, wow, that is very warm. 105 Fahrenheit. The top of my head, that's just over 40 degrees.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah,
142. So not super duper hot. I mean, you know, we've seen track temperatures over 50 degrees Celsius, but yeah, 106 is pretty hot, and currently, you know, at the heat of afternoon, you know, 2 o'clock is usually the peak temperature in iRacing, and of course clear skies overhead, so the drivers wouldn't have necessarily been ready for quite this little grip, because as the track temperature heats up, the grip really does fall away. The tyres aren't going to be operating at their maximum, so yeah, not easy for these drivers. Going to be sliding these cars about some more. Explains a little bit why we've had so many mistakes. There's Payne, by the way, up into 6th position ahead of Fritcher, so good progress being made by Payne. As yeah, Rosberg going for the lead.
He's just alongside, and he's got the move done, utilising that slipstream early on, and these top 4 constantly swapping places right now. Literally every lap they shuffle themselves up and emerge in a different order to start the next lap. But hit boom, look at that, Sam, he's pulling away from the guys behind, but it doesn't seem to be quite enough to jump onto the back of our top 4 of Rosberg, Pinero, Gnome and Naselli, who are pretty much just dragging each other along right now, working together, utilising the slipstream. And despite Bone being as strong as he is, he just doesn't seem to have an answer, because he's got no one to work with to slipstream and slingshot themselves closer to this top 4 right now.
Yeah, and Myers just got to the front of that one, so I think the reason why that pack has kind of dropped off Bone is because Meyer made at least 2 positions going down the back straight, going past Fritcher and Payne. May have also got Dantes as well, whilst he was at it, as just moving past the 76 car at the moment. That is Rodriguez, who he's just making sure he laps there is Bone. So yeah, Bone's pretty much cleared the draft now, which is a big deal, as we've got a spinner, Ian Gibson, and he maybe has had a collision with Beardsley.
It's a bit of damage to the front end of that Ford Spec racer. So let's take a little look at what happened. So we see Gibson there in the 893 cars to head across the brow of the hill. Although there's already an incident earlier on. It's that, oh no, contact between the two drivers, between Gibson and Beardsley. And that's what's caused that incident there. And that's going to cost them both so dearly. It's so frustrating just looking to tuck up so close behind one another and just misjudging it slightly. And it's put them down to 27th for Beardsley and 28th for Gibson, respectively. It's getting close. It's definitely all about fine margins here tonight. And the last thing you want is some damage on your car and affecting that slipstream potential and the ability to be able to slingshot yourself past someone. As Short there just getting passed by Favini and Gradwell as well, getting a brilliant exit off the corner. As Short heading to the pits there, looking to utilise that, says he's lost a bit of time coming out of the chicane and deciding to elect to take his pit stop with 16 minutes gone out of the 40 so far. It's almost surprising in some ways, you know, it's a tough one, isn't it, Sam? Because do you want to get yourself in some fresh air, maybe where a few of our drivers are finding themselves out of position as we just cut back to the battle now for first place. And these top four, they will not leave each other alone, as Pinheiro almost giving the bump draft. So Roseborough pushing Pinheiro along there, along the back straight, and not electing to cut out from the slipstream, just really almost just push him along and say, go on, you keep going first, I'm going to follow along with you. As they look to try and almost just trying to get the edge over one or another, and it's just so close between these guys. I mean, literally, it's nearly down to half a second covering our top four. That's crazy, Sam.
Yeah, and I'd give a 25% chance of winning for each one of them. As I'll say, don't mess up the pit stops. I think each of them have kind of had a go out in the lead. Maybe Surly hasn't had a go in the lead, so I wonder if he saved a little bit more fuel. But what you don't want to do is have to pit one lap early than your rivals, because then they may be able to, you know, drive in a pack by themselves. You may come out in some traffic and maybe lose a little bit of time to them. So we're just about making sure that you get that good pit stop at the moment, and then of course you have that final really 3 laps sprint where you're racing for that track position, but all just kind of warming up at the moment for these drivers. So we've had a fair few drivers into the pits, and by the way, they do get a faster pack to these drivers. So if you get a bit of damage early on, if you're in the window where you can get to the end of the race with the time remaining, you may well go for the pit stop.
Here comes Roseborough. He's gone to the inside. And Sully looking to follow him through, as well as Pinheiro just pulling out to the left-hand side now, tucking himself back in behind these guys. They've reshuffled himself, and Naselli, for the first time, finds himself at the front of this train. Oh no, he's taken to the pits. He's the first of our top 4 to blink first. Wow, could this be inspired, Sam? Could this be the moment that defines the race and works to Naselli's advantage? Or could potentially the 3 other drivers work together and pull away? I mean, there were so many other cars out on track, such a large grid, as we mentioned. You know, there's 48 other cars on track. Do you have the potential to utilise the slipstream? You can see from the track map on the right-hand side of your screen right now just how populated the track is, and there's not really any major clear pockets. So maybe, just maybe, Naselli thinking that he's going to look to utilise some of those other drivers as slipstream fodder to gain some time.
Yeah, perhaps so. I mean, it's a Volkl, isn't it? But he's got free will. I mean, it's not as though he's got less fuel to start off the race. I mean, I seriously doubt that. I think all the drivers will just start with maximum fuel, because you don't want to have to put extra fuel in at the pit stop. And he has had a normal pit stop there, so he's made that decision. He knows the situation. I'm a little bit surprised by it, honestly, because he risks being caught in traffic, and of course what he doesn't want to do is be left alone. And say if Aaron Norman's at the front of that front pack, then you might be able to tow the others along. There's a little bit of opposite lock there for Naselli, in fact. So Roseborough still in the lead then. Does anyone come into the pits this time? Yes, Pinheiro is going to opt into the pits now, and also that's a back marker just coming
just
into
in
the
Huffman.
pits as well.
That was is driving into the pits with Pinero. So with half race distance now completed, your top 10 looks as follows. You've got Rosberg with Aero Gnome in second place, David Bohm in third. Then we've got Payne and Fritzsche in fourth and fifth respectively. Mayer is sixth, Dantas seventh, eighth is Pereira, Mukami in ninth, and Andalo, the Brazilian, in 10th place. Now, of the drivers obviously that have stopped so far, funnily enough, Naselli is in top place. Let's keep one eye out there. Now, Pinero, he's just heading out of the pits. Where is he going to emerge? Just keeping one eye on that little battle. And, wow, it absolutely inspired move by Naselli. He is 3 seconds clear of the Italian Pinero. And I think that's worked for him there, Sam.
Well, I think Pinero actually overshot his box because he seemed to have to reverse slightly when it came to his pit stall, and so whilst his stationary time was only half a second longer, his actual pit lane transit time was 3 seconds longer, and we'll see this now. So he's just going to overshoot it and then has to reverse, and the reversing stage cost him probably about 2 seconds right there, plus the half-second longer pit stop, and that kind of equates to the gap that's created. So I was saying how it might come down to the pit stops. It's about not getting a bad pit stop. Well, that's a bad pit stop, and that may have just denied himself a chance at a race win because he's now out of the slipstream range of his main rival. Meanwhile, Nom absolutely flying along, 32.77, one of the fastest laps of the race. Only Bohm has gone faster so far. So these two continuing ground. They've got low fuel, remember, compared to their rivals. They've got just as old tyres. And I mean, at the moment, I feel like Gnome and Roseborough are in the right position, but we'll wait and see. A few laps time when they come into the pits, we'll find out.
Spinner in the background there. I think that's Jin who's had a slight instant there. But right now, as you mentioned, Gnome looking in a really commanding position between himself and Roseborough. Out up front, the Estonian, as we mentioned, winner last time. He's got form and pedigree within this league, and just navigating one of the back markers there. That is car 203, which is Arturo Luero, just heading past, and wow, Roseborough just utilising that bump drive. Look how close he is to Aero Gnome. You can hardly get a cigarette paper between those two guys. So they come hard onto the brakes, down into the chicane for the 14th time. And still plenty of chance. Will someone dip into the pits? No, they're elected to stay out, both of them. As the fuel burns off, maybe it's just going to run as long as possible. And I think this is going to come down to who's going to blink first, who's going to dare to run it as long as possible. And maybe that's Roseborough's tactic right now, Sam, just to sit behind Aero Gnome and just save fuel in his slipstream. Yeah,
I think that would be a very smart one for him at the moment. And of course, this is the lead at the moment of the Spec 1 standings. In the Spec 2 standings, you can see that indicated by the green antelope at the front of that one. Bradshaw in second place. Dantas just coming into the pits. Tusting moves up to third position. I'll try to give you a bit of a rundown of that once the pit stops are complete. But in the Spec 2 standings, it was actually Castro who was leading going into this round. Castro a little bit further down at the moment, albeit has completed his pit stop already, so I expect him to move back up through the order later on. In fact, Castro is actually 5th place out of the drivers who have pitted, as Roseborough might go for the lead again here. They've got a little bit of back markers, which is really going to help these guys along, getting a nice slipstream here is Nom. Will Roseborough go for the bump job this time? No, he's not. I think he saw that Nom was going to be moving across there and didn't want to risk the bump jobs, because if the driver ahead is turning as you give the bump, very easy to spin them around. We've just got 15 more minutes of this race, but a few really productive laps from these drivers. They're setting a fantastic pace right now and pulling away from their main rivals. Just for reference, they're half a second faster than both Naselli and Pinero on that last lap, who were in this pack but opted for the early pit stop. So yeah, Nom and Roseborough looking very strong. That's another 32 stunning laps. So no one's getting close to them out on circuit right now.
So worth mentioning, Murakami is 7th place overall. She's just headed to the pits, currently leading the Masters class by quite a margin. Kanta is the closest rival. He's down in 21st position and is yet to take a pit stop. So that is essentially how it stands at the moment. And it's not as if that Murakami's there because he hasn't yet to take a pit stop. He's absolutely flying tonight, is the American. A really, really strong performance for him here at Road Atlanta. And just looking at us, so currently your top 8 have yet to take their pit stops. Naselli obviously leading the drivers who have currently taken them, with Pinero behind him in position and on track as well right now. And still that around about that 2.7 second gap that Pinero lost during that pit stop where he just overshot it. So unlucky. He'd be so frustrated by that one. Will be the Italian. But out up front, our 2 leaders. Well, Rosenberg, you see, he has got past Gnome somewhere off camera for the lead. So the American just heading out in front. And now it's Aeronome's time to follow behind him and just beat. I think these 2 drivers are going to possibly hang it out right to the end here, Sam, until they're literally running on fumes.
Yeah, I think that's the wise thing to do. It's working well for them at the moment. So as Andale decides to come into the pits, he was leader of the Spec 2 standings. So we'll see if he can come out ahead of Dantas after all of that. Good battles going on between Forster, Cox and Mizurek, by the way, down in 24th to 26th position. I think the only 3-car battle currently out there. We've got a couple of other kind of 2-car battles, but all these drivers have pitted in already. And they've also got Ray a little bit further up, who I think started from the pit, so I guess he will have to pit again, as a very tight move there, a little bit of movement in at high speed, but eventually at the front of all of this is Yuri Cox, and he now leads going on to what will be their lap 18 of this race. So yeah, nice battle between the 86 and the 231.
Really, really, really close, and we've got so another battle actually that's emerging. It's the battle for 12th position. That's it, even bigger. That's a 4-way battle between the 2 Brazilians at the front of that pack. We've got Pierre and then we've got Dantas just behind them.
Oh, leads us in.
He is, but they're both in. It's going through the pit lane side by side as well. Still nothing to separate these 2 drivers. Actually, look, it's triggered. Literally, our top 6 have all come into the pit lane at exactly the same time. Now, where's Naselli? He is currently around about 10th of the lap left to go. Has his strategy worked? Can he elevate himself above these top 2 of Gnome and Roseborough? We'll find out very shortly as well. There's really, really quick to leave the pit box. There is Naselli, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And he's lost time in this battle. And our top 2 have managed to pull a gap over Naselli. And Aeronome and Roseborough have merged after working together so well. Although being racing drivers and competitors, I'm sure it wasn't working together. It was purely racing. Have managed to emerge. Now, around about 2.5 seconds, about 2.5 seconds clear, and Naselli in 3rd place. So what was a 4-way battle for the 1st place between Gnome, Roseborough, Naselli and Pinero is now down to 2 cars.
Yeah, and it would be great to get an interview with Naselli and Pinero after the race to kind of get their insight into what their logic for that one was. But I mean, leaving Gnome and Roseborough on low fuel out in the lead was a dangerous thing
High
to
stakes.
do. Yeah, and
Definitely high stakes.
it hasn't worked out for them. But yeah, well, maybe if they fight real hard in the closed stage, maybe Naselli might have a chance. Dantas at the head now of the Spec 2 standings, only just ahead of Andalo. They've got a little bit of a gap back to Murakami, who of course is doing very well, as you were saying earlier on, in the Masters Championship, as we're going to have a change for the lead potentially in the Spec 2.
looks like, I was going to say, it looks like that is going to change potentially. There we go. Angelo has got the move done. Quite a few of the drivers seem to be completing it along that back straight well before the chicane, so they're able to take their normal racing line. It really does show the strength of the slipstream here at Road Atlanta for these Ford Spec racers. And it's just allowing them to absolutely launch past the car in front and then able to keep hold of that position and not have to worry about being under threat coming into the braking zone. Just saw Murakami there leading the Masters class. Stevie Ray in 17th place behind him in class, but there's around about 4 seconds and around about a quarter of a lap between those two drivers. So Murakami looking good with 10 minutes to go, 3/4 race distance completed. Looking good for the Masters class, but the Spec 2 category, yeah, that's completely up to grass. Likewise, the Spec 1 category as well. Could go absolutely any way tonight. So we just look at Adam Bradshaw. He's under attack from Castro. And the American, I would imagine, will be holding out for this moment here as they head out onto the back straight. Looking to utilise that slipstream and drag himself along, although they do have a back marker in front of them, which is going to aid towards Bradshaw as you see him just pulls out from that slipstream. And hopefully for him, he's going to be able to utilise that back marker to keep hold of the position for now. But how long will it last, Sam?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if he can keep him behind for many more corners. Castro was having a good race earlier on, actually. But then I think he had a spin, didn't he? Through the SS section or some kind of off. And that's why he's a bit further down. He actually started up in 9th position, second place, sorry, out of the Spec 2 jars, only behind Dantas on the grid. So he'll be disappointed with how tonight's gone, but he could still get a podium in class, which would be a decent recovery for him, considering you can see kind of the fact that Dantas and Castro have been dropping down, whilst Bradshaw and Tusting and Ray in particular, 21 places, great performance from Stevie Ray, albeit his pace isn't indicating that he's going to get any further up in the 35s, whilst his rivals ahead in the 34s and 33s. In fact, actually might drop behind Jacobson if he's not careful, because Jacobson caught him by about a second on that last lap. So I expect to see a move at the end of this back straight. And by the way, just a quick word on the top two. Rosenberg managed to get the gap up to about 8/10 to none, which isn't much, which is much smaller than the slipstream gap. But then you can see on that last lap, not managing to really take a big crunch out of Roseberg's gap. So they are back together, are the top two.
So around about 6.5 minutes left, which is going to be around about 5 laps left of this race tonight, round 2 from Road Atlanta. And if you're Aeronome right now, Sam, how do you play this? Do you wait until the last lap and utilise that slipstream and just sit behind Gnome, knowing that you're then in more control of this race? Or do you go all out and try and get past him early and try and utilise some of the back markers to try and put some distance between yourself and Roseberg?
I think, well, right now, we're talking 5.5 minutes to go. Usually, an overtake at this point would be decisive, wouldn't it? But of course, they're always going to be able to come back against one another. I think right now, just make it a 2-car battle if they possibly can, and that's what they're trying to do. Because once again, we see the bump drafting. They're just trying to get Naselli out of this battle. They just want it to be a 1v1, and then the worst that can happen is they finish second place as Andelo has had a problem. Andelo off the track, and he was in a tight battle with Dantas for the Spec 2 win, but he's just gone off the circuit. So here it was for Andelo. I think this was a little bit further, a little bit earlier on, in fact, on the lap. I imagine it will cycle around for us eventually. But yeah, he's down to second position now, and also Murakami just getting up into 11th place. So Dantas still leading the Spec 2, but Andelo down to second place now.
Battles up and down the field Exactly what we're used to, and it's commonplace here on SRF Weekend Warriors. Never short of action at all as Elson. But the driver who won last time we visited here, all the way back in 2018, currently in 9th place. And maybe a little bit disappointed, but then, you know, it was quite a while ago, you know, for Elson. However, I think Murakami, hats off to him, in 11th place overall and leading that Masters class right now. However, you know, he has got company for him. Dantas and Darlo locked in their own battle behind them. And if you're Murakami, the last thing you're going to be wanting to happen is to get caught up in some sort of incident where those guys are pushing as we head to the last few minutes of the race tonight. We've got 3 minutes left to go. Going to be around about 2 laps, depending on where our leaders are, who are still remaining in that second place is the Estonian, yet to make his move. And I think this is just leaning more and more towards that. This is going to come down to a last lap lunge from Gnome.
Yeah, I mean, I just want a tight bouncer to the line from here, honestly. I think we're going to get it because you can pretty much plot exactly what's going to happen. We've seen enough of these situations over the years as Dantas just got past Murakami in battle bit. That's by no means decisive, sure that will change again. But yeah, we kind of know what's going to happen. We know that one car's going to be behind the other, they're going to get maybe ahead, or at least alongside heading into the final chicane, and the other one's going to get the cut back, and then it's just going to be a straight race to the line. Isn't necessarily a perfect way to do it. Sometimes the driver behind going into the back straight wins the race, sometimes it's the driver ahead. But we'll see what goes on. Of course, Norman's been in this situation many times before. I'm sure Roseborough has been in this situation as well. And should be a very entertaining one. But here was Dantas then getting past Murakami. And yeah, Angelo now in that third position, at least in this train. They've got a big gap behind, so these guys can bounce as much as they want, really, and be all right with it. But yeah, of course, you just cannot get a gap around this circuit. There's absolutely no chance. You're going to need to be over half a second lap faster. All these guys are separated by hundredths of a second.
Yes, Angelo, this is not the position that he want to be in at the back of this three-car train right now. His rival Dantas and fellow countryman is ahead of Murakami. And will we see him emerge as Naselli is heading to the pits? That's really surprising. From third place, doesn't look to have any damage there. Maybe he's underfueled the car there, Sammy. He did come in incredibly early, and that has now gifted what looked like a comfortable third place to Pinero. I'm really surprised by that one. Is he stopping in the pits? She's driven through. He must have reached sort of either instant limit and had to take a drive through, I'm guessing. And that's what's cost him. He's come out all the way down in 5th. It's elevated David Bone, who's an absolute stunning race tonight, and is balancing himself up in 4th place. An absolutely stunning drive from David Bone. I'm sure he would have taken 4th place. He just snatched your hand off of that heading into tonight.
Yeah, 13 places games for the German. Underlying how impressive it has been as we are on the penultimate lap, so not too important than this change. These guys kind of just choosing, and you can see there Roseborough maybe just moving to the side. They're almost allowing non-past. But yeah, do you want to be ahead? Do you want to be behind? It's uncertain. The 55 isn't going to challenge on the brakes here, so it looks as though, unless they change positions at turn 1, looks like Nom will be ahead going on to the back straight on the final lap. And it will be Roseborough trying to go for the attacking move. But yeah, all about position this. They've been stuck together for the entire race so far, and it's all come down to this. All that scouting, all those, you know, copying the driver heads lines, learning where each other are quick, comes down to this, because this is where you got to put it into action.
Roseborough has rolled the dice officially. Stevie Ray, nearly having contact with the 86 there of Cox, as he was just recovering, and well avoided from Cox there. As he just cut for something there, 3-1. There's a big accident there. Oh, that was literally just heading on to the final lap, and that was incredibly close as Stevie Ray was recovering. And then contact between himself and Race. So close, just trying to keep as well one eye on that battle for the lead as they head out onto the final straight, the back straight for the final time now. Roseborough, he rolled the dice by letting Aero Gnome ahead. Is that roll of the dice gonna pay off? We're about to find out. Here comes Roseborough. He's heading to the inside. It's gonna be on the inside for the chicane for the final time. Has he pulled off an absolutely inspired move? But Gnome's not fighting back. He's saying, no, you're not having the place that easy. They're going to go side by side through the chicane. Gnome fighting back. Is Roseborough going to have the better exit off the chicane? I'm not sure he is. As they come round the final corner, and Aero Gnome somehow manages to keep hold of that first place and takes the victory here tonight at Road Atlanta, with Roseborough coming across the line in second. And that roll of the dice, Sam, not looking like it's going to work out. As you watch Naselli there just coming across the line. He's got David Bone. This is going to be a photo finish from fourth place. But Naselli just taking it in the end over Bone. We've got action all the way as the sprint to the line comes in. Mikami's got his contact with the Dantas, and that's going to allow Andalo to get through. Andalo was tucked up behind these two cars, and now all of a sudden in the last corner finds himself in front. Just trying to look at who else we've got left to come across the line. Jacobson and Shook are going to have a close battle to the line. Jacobson's going to take that one, but Nunez and Mirasek, not long left to go for these two drivers now. As Mirasek's going to look to run it round the outside. Can he be successful where some of the drivers have been tonight? Oh, it's incredibly close across the line, but Nunez takes it by 0.06 of a second. As Gibson and Bradshaw just scrambling across the line there, and there's almost a big concertina effect. Oh, well, it's getting really more and more frantic as the race goes on, and with the last few drivers trying to cross the line there, Sam.
Yeah, I think someone may have ran out of fuel or something, and yeah, caused absolute chaos right there. They only just got that extra lap in, so I think a few drivers were very tight on fuel right at the finish. But what a race win there for Erno. I mean, he has taken part in so many races over the years in Rick Motec, and of course in this series as well. And he used every ounce of that experience there to come out on. So I don't know if we can maybe get like a chopper view of that final kind of half lap or so, but he absolutely nailed it completely. And of course that collision as well between Dantas and Murakami gave Andalo the race win in the Spec 2 classification, so congratulations to Andalo, but Dantas will be very disappointed. I mean, you do get points for your overall position, so you mean I mean you do want to beat the drivers who aren't in your class, but Dantas I think will be kicking himself for that, because you always want a race win in the class, and I'm sure he would have rather had finished 12th position behind Murakami than 12th position behind Andalo. But congratulations to Aaron Norman, it's another fantastic start to the season, 2 wins out of 2.
I think Jonathan Grabowski, obviously not with us this week. Normally my commentary partner for this series. I think he summed it up nicely there, Sam, the last few corners with holy cow in the chat. Love to hear from everyone else watching tonight to see what you thought of the last few corners. But your classified results tonight are: Aaron Gnome comes home in first place, with Roseborough only half a second after 14 minutes behind him in second place. Marco Pinheiro picks up the last place on the podium. Naselli, his teammate, comes home in fourth. David Bone, absolutely impressive finish by him, got home in fifth place. Then we've got Payne and Elson in sixth and seventh. Mayer, Fritcher and Piera round out your top 10. We've got Andalo coming home in 11th and taking that class victory. Murakami likewise in 12th and taking his class victory in Masters. Castro is 13th and 2nd in the S2 class. Then we've got Tusting 14th and 3rd in class. Jacobson comes home in 15th. Shook 16th, Forster and Cox are 17th and 18th respectively. Then we've got Nunez and Mirasek in 19th and 20th. Dantas is 21st, followed by Brain, Ray, Gibson and Favini to come home in 25th. Bradshaw's 25th with Kern in 27th. Eisenberg is 28th. Buchanan and Beardsley round out your top 30. Tom Gradwell for Sinus Rhythm Racing in 31st. Ulip is 32nd. Antonio Rice is 33rd. Cantor 34th. Huffman, Luero, Jackson and Short are bring up to 38th. Then we've got Campbell in 39th. Jesus Rodriguez is 40th. Eisenberg 41st. Jin McGuinness, Santiago and Bernardo take you up to 45th. Van Dormelen is 46th. Bertoni 47th. And Pichek is 48th to round out your runners. Wow. What an absolutely epic race. And I tell you what, we should have a bit of a word with a few of our drivers. So I think it would be a good chance to check in with our. Let's move across. Apologies about this. Couple of technical. There we go. So we're going to be joined in the commentary box by Aero Gnome, your race victor for tonight. Aero, congratulations.
Thanks.
Obviously, heading into the start of the last lap, we saw Rosenberg potentially almost let you pass, and from the commentary box, at least, it looked like from watching the race, you'd be in the weaker position, you're being in front on that last lap, but it didn't quite pan out that way. How did it feel in the car?
Going to the last lap, yeah, I took the lead, and I kinda knew we'll run out of fuel before the end, and yeah, that's what happened. That's why I stayed behind him, coming from the pits, and let him burn the fuel.
Oh, that's understandable. It seems to be quite a few of the drivers sitting in each other's slipstreams and utilising that fuel saving. Did you ever feel like Rosenberg was going to be much of a threat and like he would take the race victory from you, or did you feel comfortable for the whole race?
I wasn't sure because he was fast all week and I barely do any practice. I just did few time trials and one race and that's it, but he was very fast all week, so yeah, at the end I wasn't sure how his pit stop goes, so when I saw he was 0.5 seconds faster in the stops, that's why I knew he might run out of fuel.
So we're just watching a nice replay of earlier in the race where you were locked up in that four-way battle between yourself, Rosenberg, Pinero, and Naselli, and it was definitely kept changing places, literally lap by lap, as it almost seemed like no one wanted to lead the race, but it was absolutely brilliant spectacle to watch for definitely for me in the commentary box and for everyone at home. Is there anyone you want to give any shout outs to at all?
I could thank all the league sponsors, league admins, and all the drivers that make up the league, and you guys there in the booth.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Aero Gnome, there, your race victor for tonight at Road Atlanta. Sam, anyone you'd like to speak to in particular?
I think it would be quite good to get an interview with Flavio Andolo, because he was able, in the end, after a very hard-fought battle and a very entertaining final lap as well, to take the Spec 2 race win. Congratulations, Flavio. That one must feel very satisfying, taking the race win on the final corner.
Oh, it was really amazing. It was really intense race. I'm sweating here.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, take us through the race. I mean, in the early stages, we saw, a very big pack of drivers. I mean, what was kind of your thinking in those early stages? Was it to make up as many positions as possible? Was it to save the fuel? I mean, what was your kind of mindset at that point?
Yeah, at the beginning, I was just trying to go with the pack, to stay in the draft. And then some guys spun, some guys went to the pit. And then I got a really good pace. I was checking the other guys, and I was faster than the other guys in front of me. So I just decided to keep going to the last drop of fuel. And then I got a few places in the pit stop. I passed by Dudu, and I got really close to Chris. And then I saw that I could get the win. But near to the end, I got a slowdown in turn 5, and I thought that everything was gone. But then both of them just bumped each other in the last corner. It was really amazing.
Yes, definitely an absolute dream scenario for you to be able to move through there. We were speaking just a moment ago to Aranami, of course, won the race, and he was talking about the fuel situation, just how tight on fuel they were, and of course you only just got that extra lap in by about 10 seconds. Was that something that you were particularly tight on near the end?
Yeah, I was really low on fuel on the last lap. I was also saving some fuel on the last lap for following the guys when I got the slowdown. And yeah, it really worked great because I was behind some guys, and after the pit stop, I took some places because of that.
And looking ahead to the rest of the season, I mean, you make up some points in the championship. I think you'll still be just short of Castro in the championship, but you may move ahead of Dantas after this round of the championship. Is the focus then on taking that Spec 2 title for this season?
Yeah, I hope so. Pace with the new car, I'm really enjoying it. It's really fun to drive. And Castro is not in the S2 anymore, he's S1. So it makes it easier.
Aha, okay. Well, the standings I've got shows him in Spec 2, but I'll take your word for it, that's a year. So yeah, you're at the top of the standings, I think, then, after tonight. So congratulations on that. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just to Steve, everyone that organized this league, this is amazing. We got a great group of guys that runs together. Like just to thank everybody for the race. It's really fun race with all these guys. And thanks to you for the broadcast. It's always great to watch.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Flavio, and we'll see you back next week.
See you.
Flavio Angelo there, your race winner in the Spec 2 race, and yeah, like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the championship leader now in that category as well. Might have time for one more interview, I think, Tim.
Yeah, should we grab Chris Murakami, who was your victor tonight in the Masters class? Chris, welcome to the commentary booth. Oh, what a frantic end to the race.
Did you guys catch that?
We did. Wow. I mean, obviously, coming into the last few laps, you were obviously tied up in a battle between Angelo and Dantas, and then you found in the middle of them. What was going through your mind at the time? Was it sort of like, please don't, you didn't want to get caught up in any sort of incident between those two battling, or were you just the pure racer and you kicking in and you were just enjoying the fight?
Well, I always try to go for the lead of that, right? So I'm always trying to go for it. But going down that straightaway, I had a little bit of a nice lead, I saw, but you never know if a person's gonna, put their nose in there. So I kind of bobbled on that last chicane and came out of that and going pretty slow. And I forget who it was, what was right in back of me, and he tapped me, which was great because I thought he'd get right by me. He tapped me, and then I guess we just had an incident in that last corner and spun out. I guess I could have given him a little bit more room, but I thought he had enough room to not hit me. But yeah, oh well.
Yeah, it does. It was a bit of a racing incident, and you just see quite a few frantic moves into the last, even down into the chicane, let alone the last corner. There was you sort of set the tone really with numerous drivers having last second moves even.
Exactly.
Other than that, it was a relatively, it seemed like a relatively calm and enjoyable race before then, because that's how it came across on camera.
Yeah, I was actually all by myself out of draft, and the guy in back of me, they were kind of out of draft too, so I just drove a nice simple race. until the very end, which is always exciting.
So, obviously, you've taken the class victory tonight. Obviously, heading into the next round at Red Bull Ring. How are you feeling about that one?
Oh, Red Bull. I don't even have the track, but I was lucky to make this one. I have to give this win to my father. He passed like 3 weeks ago, so I haven't even been driving at all. So, yeah, kind of tough.
So, sorry for your loss, but yeah, what a great tribute to your father to take that victory tonight. And yeah, absolutely a brilliant drive from you. Congratulations. And any shout outs you want to give to anyone at all?
Oh, well, mainly my father. He was a great guy. Everybody loved him. And for you guys sponsoring, broadcasting, the sponsor, Steve, and all the guys, it's a great series.
Definitely. Thanks very much for your time, Chris. And again, sorry for your recent loss. And but yeah, thank you for providing such great entertainment tonight.
Thank you.
As Chris Murakami, your victor within the Masters class tonight. Wow, Sam. I'm not even sure where to quite begin with trying to dissect that one. Absolutely, just a crazy end to the race, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I was hoping for at the start of the 40 minutes. I wanted to run to the line. But I think if I'm going to be fussy, I wanted it to be a little bit closer than that. But I think the fuel was a nice element as well, which I wasn't expecting. I mean, we literally crossed the line to force another lap with about 10 seconds to go. I think that really caused havoc with a lot of drivers, and it was interesting to hear Norm saying how Rosebery, I think, ran out of fuel on the run to the line, or at least was trying to conserve fuel on the run to the line. So a really impressive performance from it. And Red Bull Ring, that is going to be insane, because if you thought the slipstream around here was strong, Red Bull Ring is going to be on a whole new level. That place is all straights with maybe 2 or 3 corners in the middle of the track. So should be a really good next round of the championship. And I'm sure it'll be very good viewing once again on Apex Racing TV.
Definitely. I can't wait for it already, and we've only just finished the most recent round of Road Atlanta. Now, again, thank you to the sponsor, obviously the guys over at RaceVoice for sponsoring the SRF Weekend Warriors series. Again, if you want to catch up to date with everything that's happened on Apex Racing TV, don't forget to hit us a like and a subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at Apex Racing TV. Facebook is facebook.com/Apex Racing TV. And finally, Instagram, if you search for Apex Racing TV, funnily enough, you'll be able to find us on there. As mentioned, next week we'll be heading to Red Bull Ring, which is going to be absolutely spectacular. In the meantime, if you want to, you haven't had enough action tonight, which would be amazing if you haven't after that great end to a race. Currently ongoing at the moment on the channel, we've got the IGP Fun F3 series. That's round 2 at Snetterton. And then around about 4 hours time on the channel, there's the XSR NASCAR Next Gen Cup there after Talladega. And then a little bit later on, I think we've got Formula V's and various other bits going on the channel. So always action every night of the week here on Apex Racing TV. I think that just leaves us to say, really, it's time to go and draw a breath. And thank you very much for watching. From everyone here at Apex Racing TV, from myself, Sam, and Samuli, who's been working tirelessly in the background, thank you very much and good night.